Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're doing my first spring look of the year and I thought we could use the two Icee palettes that Glamlite came out with in the end of 2021. I did use both of these in separate videos in case you are interested. I'll try and remember to link them down below. But today we're going to use them together, so I'll show you close-ups in a little bit. And we're just going to do a full face and do a spring inspired, fun, clean, fresh makeup, you know, all the words that are tingling everyone right now, and let's hope the result ends up being okay. So real quick before we get started, I want to thank you so much for clicking on my video. My name is Cecile, I'm 29 years old, I live in the Netherlands, and I upload multiple videos a week with makeup related content, and I'm also on Instagram and TikTok if you'd like to follow me over there. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please consider subscribing. I cover any kind of makeup from luxury to drugstore and I love all of it. I do have a soft spot for luxury makeup, but I can't afford to make everything luxury, so I do try the drugstore things as well. So that's a little bit about me, and now let's get into the video. So this is the Icee Cherry palette. Nice reddish pinkish color story. And this is the blue raspberry palette. Beautiful blue tones, of course. I always intended to use these two together. From the first moment I saw these, I figured, yeah, that would probably look really fun together. There are some lighter shades in here that would make for a nice pastel-y look, which is probably what I'm going to do today. And then there are some heavier, more intense shades that really make a pop on your eyes. And that would also be kind of fun, I thought. So I did intend to use these together, but this is the first day I'm doing so. So yeah, let's zoom you guys in. So I usually prime my eyes with the Glamlite Icee primer, but lately I've been loving using a more see-through one. So this is one I like to use from Essence, the I Love Color Intensifying Eyeshadow Base, which I think is really good, but I haven't really tested it out for more than 8 hours. But for 8 hours it definitely holds up. It does prevent the oils from coming through, and it does give a nice tacky but not too tacky base for eyeshadows. And I like this because it's a little bit less coverage. So for the look I'm doing today, it's a little bit more soft but still colorful, but you know, a little bit more spring and airy. So I didn't feel like putting on a thick concealer-like base on my eyes. That's the way I think these days. So we're going to use the Essence. And it does have a little bit of a tint, but that will blend out into a little bit less. See, it just looks natural. It does cover up a little bit, but it looks nice. I'll change the ISO setting a little bit. Alright, what I'm thinking is I'm going to keep it a little bit more pink instead of actual red, and I'm going to keep the blues a little bit more on the blue side and not on the turquoisey side. And I'm going to do the more red on the inner part of my eyes and the blue on the outer part. The thing is with these palettes, they really start in the medium range. So this is the exception, but the first matte that you encounter is actually pretty bright, but I think I'm going to make it work. Now I can choose between the more warm pink or the more cool toned pink, and I kind of want to go for the more cool toned one. So this is the shade Epic, and I'm just putting that on my eye blender brush from Essence, and I'm putting that right here in the inner crease. I'm trying to keep it a little bit lower, but of course it does have to be visible when you have your eyes open. So maybe now you can see a little bit more. I'm just going to build it up a little bit more. Yes, I think that's perfect. And even though this is a pretty bright shade, I do think it works. It doesn't look too overpowering. I'm also not going to deepen this up. I don't think so. And now that there's less on my brush, I'm going to make sure the edges are well blended. I find these Glamlite mattes, they're pigmented, but they do blend out easily into your skin. So they just made their own transition shade. I'm just going to take the same shade on the same brush, and I'm going to carefully put a little bit underneath my lower lash line. I'm going to make this really ugly face. Yes, that works. I'm cleaning off the same brush, just a little bit on my hand. There really wasn't that much pigment left anyway. And I'm going into the Blue Raspberry palette. This one does have a few lighter shades. So there are 2 lighter blues in this palette. And I'm going to go for the more cool toned one, which is Frozenated. And I'm going to put this right on top of my crease in the outer corner. And of course they will blend a little bit together here to form a purple, but I don't mind that. I am going to deepen up the outer corner just a little bit with Polar Bear, which is the more red toned blue. Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. So that's it for the mattes I'm going to use. Now I'm going back into my red palette and I'm taking this small pencil brush and I'm taking the shade White Cherry, which is a duochrome pink to white. This is the lighter shimmer shade in both the palettes. And it does correspond with the inner color. So I'm just putting this right there. Also a little bit in the inner corner of my lid. And now I'm taking my finger and I'm going into, I think I'm going into Fantastic, which is a little bit deeper, but it's the first cool tone shimmer. Wait, let me put this one. These are the 3 possible shimmers. Yeah, I definitely need this one, Fantastic. I'm just putting that right next to that white. And then from this palette, I'm going to take Icee, which is the same color depth as the other one. And I'm just going to take this fluffy brush again and blend out the edges. So it's a little bit darker than I intended, but I still think it looks kind of fresh. Still, the edges are all quite light, so yeah, I like this. I'm going to take a pink, light pink eyeliner from LA Girl. I'm just going to put that all the way through. You could do half and half, of course, but I kind of like the contrast. And now I want to keep the mascara a little bit more toned down, but I do want it black because I feel like the cool tones don't really match a brown. So I'm going to use my Tony Moly Panda Dream mascara because it's a little bit lighter. It's still pretty, but just not as volumizing as my other mascaras. So that's it for the eyes. I have little to no fallout, but I'm just taking a wipe to be sure. I kind of like this eye look with no foundation as well. I think it looks kind of youthful. But I am going to put on a little bit of a light coverage something. First let me put back my hair and zoom you out a little bit again. So in a couple of days I'm doing my monthly ranking for the month of February, and in February I tried this Essence foundation, which is more of a skin tint like low coverage foundation, and I'm just not really sure about it yet. I think I like it. I'm not sure if I like it a lot or just a little. So we're going to sneak that into this video to see my thoughts on it. And also I think it fits my look for the day. I'm going to pair it with my new favorite primer, the NYX Plump Right Back. I'm not sure if I tried these two together or maybe only once. But I do understand this primer a little bit better now, so I think it'll be good. And I'm also going to use my little under eye primer. I forget to use this one very often. I do think it makes a little bit of a difference. I'll tell you more about it in my monthly ranking, but I feel like it doesn't really prevent the little lines, but it does make it easier to press them out. So that's still a win. I haven't tried it with all of my concealers yet, so we are going to use it again today. It's this little creamy stuff. I don't think you need a lot. It doesn't really pick up a lot either. So now we are finally going in with the foundation. So this is the Fresh and Fit foundation from Essence. I have it in the shade Fresh Porcelain number 5. It's the lightest shade available. And I'm just going to take 3 pumps, which should be enough. And I'm going to take another brush to apply it today. I want to see how this buffer brush works with it, and I hardly use it for actual buffing. So I'm going to see if this is good for spreading out my foundation a little bit more lightly. I'm just taking a little bit of the foundation. I just envisioned this brush being very airbrushing. And I do think it does a nice job actually. It applies a nice thin layer, just like I wanted. Of course you can do these little twirly motions as well. Works too. See, this foundation doesn't really stick on my nose very well. That's an issue I have with a lot of low coverage foundations. They just sort of slip away. Alright, that actually worked really well. It looks a lot less glowy than I remember. Maybe because I applied less. Although if I look a little bit closely, it still looks kind of glowy. I'm not going to set my whole face. I hardly do anyway, but I'm also not going to do that today. Just wherever I put my concealer. I think this foundation is going to rank a little bit higher than I suspected. And then of course the concealer of the moment is the NYX Bear With Me Concealer Serum. Maybe it's a little bit old by the time I'm posting this video, but it's still very new to me, so I'm going to try it again today. I'm just going to take the teeniest bit, because I'm just going to put it underneath my eyes. I always end up just using my finger with this one, because the concealer is already on my finger when I pull it out of the container. And I think it works. Takes a little bit longer, but it works. I am just going to take that foundation brush, make sure the edges are well blended. For a serum concealer, this is actually more high coverage and more brightening than you'd expect. I'm going in with a little bit of my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze. I'm trying to do this step after foundation now. I feel like if I don't fuss with it too much and just go through once or twice, it doesn't really pick up the foundation underneath, and I can just do it after. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit of powder where I put my concealer. Just tap it out to be sure, but I don't think it's really necessary. I really took a lot of time blending out my concealer today, so I hope this will show some nice results. I do see the foundation already breaking up on my nose, just a little bit. just going to put a little bit of powder there as well. Then for bronzer, I'm going into my Dior, which is in the shade number 4, Tan Bronze. It's a little bit more of a neutral, cool tone shade. I know a lot of people associate spring with warm tones and warm bronzers and bronze goddess kind of looks. But for me it's more about the fresh spring pastels and, I don't know, a little bit more subtle makeup. The bronze goddess stuff I do in summer. But maybe that's just because here summer really only begins in summer. I guess if you live in Florida, you can do bronze goddess looks all year round. Yeah, if you only use a little bit of that foundation, so I think I used about maybe a little bit more than half than I did last time. And I think it sets down a little bit more and stuff blends on top of it really easily. Granted, this is a really good bronzer, but still. Alright, I'm going into my trusty Hourglass palette for this blush. It's a little bit more peachy, so I feel like it will match with both the blue and the pink on the eyes. I think it's something of Flush. Sublime Flush. And I feel like a peachy, pinky blush is the equivalent of a spring look. Now for my highlight, I'm going into a new one. I did try this in my latest trying new makeup video. It's the Catrice Glow Lover Oil Infused Highlighter in the shade Glowing Peony. It's this beautiful pinky shade. It's sort of a pinky white duochrome, but it's really subtle. See, it works perfectly with the blush and the eye makeup. Now let me quickly put some NYX Lift and Snatch in my brows before I forget again. I really forget to do my brows all the time. Because in real life it looks fine and then I take a picture and I hardly have any brows. I feel like they look a little bit heavy today. But the closer I get to the camera, the more you can actually see the little spaces, which is what I want. But if I look like this, it looks a little bit heavy, but just know that I'm trying to go for a little bit more subtle brow here, in case you are recreating this look. Alright, now what to do on the lips. I feel like the obvious choice would be to go with a pink, which is what I would usually do. But I want to switch it up a little bit, so I think I'm going to go for a more browny nude, maybe? Or just a clear lip gloss. Maybe this Chanel, which is more pink but a little bit more peachy to match with the blush. I think it's too dark. Alright, here I have Charlotte Tilbury Cover Star. It's a nude nude. Yeah, I think that's kind of nice too. But it does need a little bit of gloss. So I'm taking my Catrice gloss, trying to swoop out a lot. I wish this gloss tube dispenses a little bit more. But I'm getting there. Alright, this is it. This is my finished look. Yeah, I think it's nice to do it with a nude. Of course a pink would have been fine too, but yeah. Let me know what you think of this look. Let me know if you're excited for spring as well. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.